everyone. I'm Lourdes Santiago, and our assigned topic is the globalization of religion. And now I'll be discussing how globalization has influenced the religion, not only here in the Philippines, but also in other parts of the world. And we all know that religion has been always important in every Filipinos because it has affected our attitudes, characteristics, perspective in life, and also our decisions are guided by what we believed. So, in many developing countries and even some Western nations are also rely on religion as part of their identity. So, before going into the effects, we all know that globalization is the increasing interconnectedness of countries through cultures, communication, trade, and also the technology. And because of the globalization, ideas move faster, people interact more, and cultures blend or clash in a different ways. One of the areas deeply affected by globalization is the religion. It includes our personal belief, organized practices, and also the traditions. So the globalization has affected religion in many various ways, and I'll be explaining them one by one.
The first effect, we have the rise of religious nationalism. So, it happens when a country's national identity becomes closely connected to a specific religion. So, after the World War II, many countries started to rebuild and redefine themselves, and religious identity often became a big part of that process. Like for example, here in the Philippines, many laws and government's actions reflect Christian values because the majority of Filipinos are Christian. A clear example is the Declaration of National Bible Day in 2018, which became a special working holiday. This shows how religion influences government decisions. And in the Middle East, many laws are based on Islamic teaching because Islam is deeply tied to their national identity. Their legal systems, traditions, and political decisions are often shaped by their religious beliefs. These connections between religion and nationalism became stronger because globalization exposed societies to many outside influences, making some countries more tightly to their religious identity. The second effect is religion moving into public life. So, religion used to be something private, mainly practiced inside churches, mosques, temples, or even at homes. But due to globalization, religion has re-entered public spaces and even political discussions. A good example for that is the Catholic liberation theology, which encourages the church to help fight poverty and injustice. So instead of focusing only on sacraments and religious rituals, this movement highlights helping the poor and oppressed. In Islam, we see movements where religion influences political decisions or social debates, showing how religious belief spill over into public matters. So the globalization helps spread these ideas because now people now share religious concerns through media, news, and other online platforms. So as a result, religion becomes a major voice in social issues, not just a private practice. The third effect is the spread of international terrorism. It connected to religious extremism. So, the religious extremism is when individuals or groups believe that violence is justified by their religion. Because of globalization, groups can spread their ideology faster using the internet, social media, and global communication networks. A clear example here in the Philippines is the Marawi siege in 2017. The attackers were influenced by ISIS, a well-known extremist group. Even though ISIS is based in another region, their message reached local fighters because globalization made communication so easy. It shows how global networks can spread harmful religious ideologies and lead to violence into local communities. And the last one is increase in individual religiosity. It means more people prefer to practice religion privately instead of joining formal or organized religious groups. Some individuals feel disappointed or disconnected from institutions, while others simply want a more personal and direct spiritual relationship with a higher power. Like for example, some people choose to pray, meditate, or reflect on their own instead of attending church, while others still believe in God but don't want to belong to any religious organization. So this trend is rising because globalization exposes people to different perspectives and encourages independence in thinking and belief.
So, the core techniques of great religions, provide moral principles and values that serve as necessary tools to reduce the root of causes of conflict, such violent or illusions. So, inner improvement, religion is said to teach the inner self of individuals. So, encouraging them to improve themselves and continue possibly to society and humanity. So, assistance. So, religious organization activity contribute to peace through humanitarian with help by advising poverty, reducing and promoting economic. So the next specific mention, the World Vision as the example of Christians organization working in this area. So faith-centered intervention, meditation, religious leader and groups engaging effort to resolve conflict. A specific history example, cities' role of Pope Francis in the 2014 U.S. Cuba deal that ended a long conflict between the two nations. So, the next I discuss how globalization and migration how to lead the um, the conflict of religions. So, this process introduced a religious tradition to the graphic areas where they were presently uncommon during the lines between the culture, place, and territorial territorial boundaries. So, the cultural features of immigration means that globalization, where religious practice their or original graphics occasion. So example that the text highlight that presence of Islam in Europe and of Catholic. So Christianity in Arab nation do the conflicts overseas working carrying their belief system. So So reserve connection. So worker also maintain strong ties to their home states. For example, so um, so I mentioned that how overseas Indians created a network that links that cultural reproduction of Hinduism with the politics of Indo fundamentals in India. Thank you, everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Eunice Diego, and I am the one who will report in Globalization of Religion. So religion globalization or the religious localization, it is described how universal religions or the global faith system are shaped and transformed by local cultural elements, which is the language, ethnicity, and nation, to create a hybrid religious expression. So, in religious localization, there are four key concepts. So, the first one is the vernacularization, or what they call language. So, vernacularization, it is a blending a universal religion with local language to make it accessible. So, the one of this example is the use of Arabic as the sacred language of Islam worldwide, or the translation of the Bible into a local dialect. So let's proceed to the number two. So number two, indigenization, or what which they call culture or ethnicity. So this one, it is the blending a universal religion with local ethnic traditions, rituals, and practices. So the example of this is like the merging of a traditional religious forms with Christianity in places like example for Zamboanga or for the Hollow, like that. So let's proceed to the number three, which is the nationalization or the nation or states. So this one, it is a linking a universal religion directly to a national identity and civic life. So, the example of this is that the role of the Philippines Independent Church or the Catholic Church becoming key markers of a Filipino identity. So next, lastly, the transnationalization global network. So, a nationally based religion expanding its reach across borders to the migrants community. So the example of this one is the Iglesia ni Cristo, or the church nationally identified as Filipino but operating globally in over 100 countries. So that's the example of a transnationalization.
Let's proceed to the last parts of our report. So my name is Abdurrahman Yafasaini from BTB 80. So the last part of our report is religion conflict. So when we say religion conflict, ito yung mga religion na nagkakagulo dahil sa mga politics, dahil sa mga pera, or yung mga paniniwala nila. So, religion is not the only cause of conflict. So, ito na nga. Ibig sabihin dito is hindi lang dahil sa religion nagkakaroon ng gulo. Marami pang ibang dahilan tulad ng power, yung mga pera, at politics. So, next is some people use religion to justify bad action. So, dito is may mga tao daw na ginagamit ang religion para palabasin ang tama, ang masama, na tama ang masama nilang ginagawa. So, ginagamit nila ang holy words para suportahan ang bad action nila. So, next. So, example ng religion conflict is 9/11 attack, Marawi siege, and Saffron terror. So, ito yung mga pangyayari na ginagamit ang religion bilang dahilan ng violence. Pero hindi lang religion ang totoong dahilan. Kasama din ang power or galit at control. So next is why conflict happen. So conflict have often come from identity, power, and politics. So ibig sabihin, nagkakaroon ng conflict kasi gusto ng mga tao protektahan ng identity nila. Pagkakaroon ng power o pagkokontrol ng isang lugar, mas malaki ito kaysa sa religion lang. So next is extremists believe and strong action follow God's will. So dito sinasabi dito is may mga extremists na iniisip na okay lang manakit dahil sa tingin nila ito ang gusto ng gods or yung Diyos. So, hindi nila sinusunod ang peaceful teaching ng religion. So, the last part is some groups wants control or protect belief. So, sinasabi dito is may mga grupo daw na lumalaban kasi gusto nila ng control o gusto nilang protektahan ang paniniwala nila. Feeling parang nangangamba sila kaya nauuwi sila sa gulo. So, that's all the topic of Group 8